these the right ones? These are the right ones, or those are the right ones? Okay. I'll trade you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanasadi Jamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachadi Jamunatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Harividagacharya Astatarasatasti Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrī Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Shri Radha Nilamadava Ki Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Maybe some of you noticed, maybe some of you didn't notice, but we skipped text 26. But the good news is 26 connects very nicely with 57, 58, 59, 60. So those are the verses we're going to be discussing, starting with 26. And the subject, broad heading of the subject is how to cultivate devotional service from the position where one aspires for the goal, but one has some involvement in, affinity for, maybe even attachment to some of the affairs of the temporary material realm. So let's chant text 26 together. Ata te pesa suchiram prinan govindam avyayam shweta dvipa patim krishnam golokastam parat param prakritya gunarupinya rupinya paryupasitam sahasra dala sampane koti kinjalka brimhite Bhunmis chintamanis tatra karnikare mahasane samasinam chidanandam jyoti rupam sanatanam shabda brahmamayam venum vadyantam puje vilasani ganavritam svayar angshayar abhishtatam. Translation: Brahma, being desirous of satisfying Govinda, practiced the cultural acts for Krishna in Goloka, Lord of Shwetadweep, for a long time. His meditation ran thus, quote, there exists a divine lotus of 1,000 petals, augmented by millions of filaments, in the transcendental land of Goloka. On its whirl, there exists a great divine throne on which is seated Sri Krishna, the form of eternal effulgence of transcendental bliss, playing on his divine flute, resonant with the divine sound with his lotus mouth. He is worshipped by his amorous milkmaids with their respective subjective portions and extensions, and also by his external energy who stays outside, embodying all mundane qualities. So this is a very nice summary, compliments of the author, of helping us understand how Brahma was meditating upon the Gopal mantra, because the Gopal mantra comes at 26, which comes before the Gayatri, Kama Gayatri mantra 27, 28. So this is a nice way of thinking when those of you that are chanting Gopal mantra, this is how Brahma meditated on that mantra while he chanted that mantra for a long time. In his purport, Bhaktisiddhanta speaks about something that Saraswati said, that is, there's a spiritual way to approach this mantra and a material way to approach this mantra, depending upon one's desires. I'll just read Bhaktisiddhanta's exquisite language of text 26. For those of you who have books, it's the top of page 44. It's, well, about 8 lines, 10 lines down in the purport. Whoops, we didn't do the translation. Okay. So long as there is any trace of mundane desire in one's heart, it is the object of worship of Maya Devi Durga who has to be worshipped by such a person. So if you, the grammar is a little bewildering unless you understand what he's saying. What he's saying is, Maya Devi, who does she worship? She worships the Supreme Lord. The verse says she worships from a distance. So supposing someone has mundane desire, what should you worship? Should you worship Durga? Or should you worship the person who Durga worships? Or who Maya Devi worships? He's saying, like Maya Devi is worshipping from a distance. No, go back. Because she has material desire. We'll read the earlier part. Very beginning of that purport. Although the object of meditation is fully transcendental, yet owing to her nature, which is permeated with the quality of active mundane hankering, Maya, the non-spiritual potency of Krishna, embodying the principles of mixed sattva, rajas, and tamas in the forms of Durga and other non-spiritual powers, meditated on the Supreme Lord Krishna as the object of their worship. So supposing you have material desire, I mean, maybe you have one or two, maybe. Supposing there's some material desire, then who should you worship? The object that Maya Devi worships, although she's worshipping from a distance. Nevertheless, the fulfillment of one's heart's desire results from the worship of the object of worship of Maya Devi, and not from the worship of Maya Devi herself. So, for example, in Bengal, worship of Durga is really popular, aggressively popular. Why? Wanting the fulfillment of material desire. They worship Durga. Bhaktisiddhanta is saying it's not that Durga fulfills the desire. It's the one who Durga worships fulfills the desire. And one who is udaradi, or of broad intelligence, will worship the object of Maya's worship. Akama, sarvakamo va moksha kama udaradi, tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. He refers to that verse. The meaning of this sloka is that although other gods, as distinct manifestations of the Supreme Lord, are bestowers of sundry specific boons, yet a sensible person should worship the all-powerful Supreme Lord, giver of all good, with unalloyed devotion, without worshipping those mundane gift-giving deities. Whoa. Whoa. But it's what goes on. Gift-giving deities. I want this one. Okay, here's this one. I want that one. Okay, here's that one. So rather than approaching for that purpose, worship the personality of Godhead, from whom the gift-giving deities that give boons get the ability to give those gifts from. Exactly what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? And now the connection between this verse, 26, and the next set of verses we're going to be discussing at the bottom of the purport. True devotion is unalloyed devotional activity, free from mundane desire. You've heard that one before, Anyavilasha Trishanyam. The devotion of Brahma, etc., is not unmixed devotion. Well, at least at this particular stage. What is that unmixed component? He has a desire to construct the universe. The devotion of, but there is a stage of unmixed predilection. What's predilection mean? Like a hankering or an inclination for. I'm inclined, I wish to get to the stage of unmixed devotion. I have a predilection for that. There is a stage of unmixed predilection, even in devotion, for the attainment of one's selfish desire. Like Dhruva Maharaj. He wanted a kingdom. He wanted a big kingdom. Better than his father's kingdom. Better than his father's father's kingdom. Better than his father's 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 kingdom. He wanted a kingdom. Selfish desire. Mixed devotion. This type of devotion that's mixed, that can lead to unmixed, this has been fully described in the concluding 5 slokas of this work. That is the easiest method of divine service prior to the attainment of self-realization by fallen souls. That means us. So, the conviction to worship Krishna even when one has material desire is based upon the Paribhasha Sutra message, that Krishna is the central pivot, or the diamond within the whole of the spiritual world, from whom all things come, his personal expansions or his energetic expansions, and everything comes from him. So a Udaradi, a person of broad intelligence, will worship accordingly. So now let's go to text 57, where we ended this morning. 27, 28, Brahmaji becomes well acquainted with the ocean of truth by dint of his chanting of this Gayatri mantra, and now enriched with the ocean of truth, he offers prayers to Govinda. So that runs from text 29 through 56. So now we're covering 57. Ato vacha mahavishnur bhagavantam prajapatim brahman mahatva vigyasne pragyasarga chachainvati paschad slokim imam vidyam vasvatam bodhame. And the translation. On hearing these hymns, containing the essence of the truth, the Supreme Lord Krishna said to Brahma, something's missing. Brahma, let's see. Anyway, if you experience the inclination to create offspring by being endowed with the real knowledge of the glory of Godhead, listen, my beloved, from me to this science set forth in the following 5 slokas. Yeah, there's the part I was looking for. He has a very intimate, affectionate relationship with Brahma. He's calling his beloved. But remember what the rasa is. It's Madhurya Rasa. He's understood his position as the maidservant of Krishna. Although he's in the body of Lord Brahma, his spiritual rasa with Krishna is that of a maidservant. And Brahma has realized that, and Krishna is responding according to his rasa, my beloved. I'll read from the purport of text 57. Brahma was actuated by the desire for mundane creation. This is another one of Bhaktisiddhanta's language things. Actuated by, inspired by, motivated by, filled, enthused by the desire for mundane creation. Krishna then said to Brahma, how pure unalloyed devotion can be practiced by souls engaged in worldly occupations by combining the same with the desire for carrying out the behest of the Supreme Lord. The behest, like the desire, the will. So this is very relevant to all of us, conditioned souls who have part there's attraction for the Supreme Lord, part there's attraction for something mundane, and whatever the degree to that is. So to carry out that thing that's connected to matter, let's say family life, or career, or whatever it is, buying a car, or whatever it is, just how do you do devotional service when doing those things? So it's going to be explained, the how-to. And he repeats at the bottom, in parentheses, how bhakti is practiced by performing worldly duties in the form of carrying out the commands of the Supreme Lord is being described. Well, that's behest, the commands of the Supreme Lord. Very important topic. Lord Brahma has attained a very, very elevated state through his tapa and following the instructions of Saraswati and the instructions of Gayatri. He's realized his position as a maidservant. He's glorified the personality of Godhead, and now he's looking at, still inside there's this, I want to create a universe desire. Which is pretty amazing, isn't it? Because he's seen and he's heard the flute song of Krishna, and he still has this, I want to create a universe thing going on. Jiva Goswami comments on this verse. After speaking these descriptions, the Govinda prayers, the author, Lord Brahma, proceeds in these verses to describe the way one may attain the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's a clue. There's a descending factor along with what we're supposed to do. And we have to be tuned into the descending mercy factor while combining our activity that's of this world with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Sanskrit term in the verse where he says, my beloved, is vatsa, which is it's the root of vatsalya, but at the same time, it's the personality of God. It's an endearing term. Something like, there's a place in the Bhagavatam where Swayambhuva Manu, after making the arrangements for his daughter Devahuti to marry Kardama Muni, the marriage is completed, all the gifts given to Kardama Muni, everything's done, he's ready to go, and he starts to cry. He's feeling the separation from his darling daughter. So he calls his daughter, my daughter, and then he calls him my mother. And in the purport, Prabhupada comments, this is a special kind of affection for a father towards a daughter. Because of course, the relationship is not, she's mother, she's his daughter. But it's a special kind of affection. And similarly, this vatsa, oh beloved, it just indicates the intimacy of the relationship. In the Bhagavatam description, which is Canto 2, Chapter 9, when Lord Brahma gets to this stage, he's performed his tapa. The personality of Godhead shows his mercy to him by disclosing the Vaikuntha realm right in front of him in this expanse of darkness. The transcendental Vaikuntha realm is displayed, and he enters into it. And Lord Vishnu offers Brahma a benediction. And the benediction that Brahma requests is that he's intelligent, so he asks for more than one. But one of them he asks for is protection from Maya. And specifically Maya in the form of thinking, I'm a universe creator. So, similarly for us, when we do some service, we may like to think of ourselves as, I did it. Like, I cooked the feast, or I dressed the deity, or I made the outfit, or I arranged the festival, or I did this and that, one of the exhibits at Ananda Mela, or whatever are the things that, so many things that people do. So rather than thinking of yourself as the doer of the activity, request Radha Nila Madhava for the protection from the illusory conception that you're the doer of the activity. You're the instrument, and Krishna may choose to utilize you as an instrument. And the protection, just like those who chant the Gayatri mantra, Trayate, that's deliver. For one who chants that mantra, Gayatri gives her protection. And that's the protection from the, again, taking a deep plunge into the cesspool of material consciousness, of thinking, I'm the doer, and because if you're the doer, guess what? You're the enjoyer of the fruits of what you do. It just follows. It's like the domino thing again. So just pray for that protection. And that's what's going on here in this verse as well. The protection is how to stay on the spiritual side while we're involving ourselves with affairs of this world in service to Krishna. That's protection. So now we'll go on to the next text. Prabhude jnana bhaktibhyam atmanyananda chinmayi udit yat bhaktir bhagavat prema lakshana udit tyutantama bhaktir. Translation: when the pure spiritual experience is excited by means of cognition and service, or bhakti, super excellent, unalloyed devotion, characterized by love for Godhead, is awakened toward Krishna, the beloved of all souls. Perhaps you can remember earlier in this seminar I mentioned something that's spoken later in the Brahma Samhita, here's that later, where the living entity, conditioned living entity, wishing to come to the position of affinity for Krishna instead of affinity for matter, and to realize and appreciate Krishna instead of just be bewildered by matter, there's two components or two shaktis of Krishna that when they extend from Krishna to the living entity, then he can be cognizant of Krishna instead of non-Krishna or Maya. And that's Hladini Shakti and Samvit Shakti. So, or devotional service and that power of Krishna by which he knows himself and others can know him. And that's what's being said here. When the pure spiritual experience is excited, it's like awakened by means of cognition and service. Super excellent, unalloyed devotion characterized by love for Godhead is awakened towards Krishna, the beloved of all souls. So, this is the first verse. He's made a pronouncement. Krishna has made a pronouncement to Brahma. I'm going to, in the next 5 slokas, explain how to function in this world. Even you're within the world, and even there's some affinity for this world in the position of pure devotion. So he's here describing the position of pure devotion. And in the purport, just briefly read, this knowledge, jnana, or cognition, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur refers to knowledge of Krishna in his fullness, so sambandha abhideya prayojana, and he indicates the knowledge that embraces only, he refers to dasamula. Let's go back. Real knowledge is identical with the knowledge of the subjective natures of Chit, Achit, and Krishna. Matter, spirit, matter, and the source of both. And of their mutual relationship. The knowledge that embraces only the first 7 of the 10 basic principles, dasamula, is the knowledge of relationship. So, the mantra, the 2 mantras, Gopal mantra and Kam Gayatri mantra, have these 3 divisions, sambandha abhideya prayojana, knowledge of relationship, acting within that relationship, and the fruit of that relationship. That knowledge, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I'm going to at the very end just show you another slide presentation that just outlines dasamula tattva. Dasamula, mula means root, dasa means 10. So according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there are, within the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which are the teachings of the Vedas, there are 10 mulas, or essential truths. And I won't do it now, I'll show you later. But that's what he's referring to. And he refers to it in the next verse also. One has to have a proper understanding of sambandha gyan, like what's what? Who's Krishna, and what is everything in relation to Krishna from which everything comes? What is that relationship of all things? And then acting within the relationship ourselves, and then mature stage. So that's this knowledge that's being referred to, in the verse. What happened? Okay. Cognition and service combined. So the cognition part is these truths of Lord Chaitanya's teachings as they're espoused in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writing. Just little anecdotal. I became interested in this topic when I was visiting in one of our temples in India, and one of the devotees, the temple president, said, when Gaudiya Math Sannyasi came and asked the temple president, do you know what is Dasamula? He was examining him. And he didn't know. He said, well, is it a preparation? Like you take, different roots and you make the roots 10 different kinds and you make Dasamula? And the Gaudiya Math Sannyasi was disgusted. He said, you're a follower of Lord Chaitanya and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and you don't know what is Dasamula? Like slapped him around a little bit. Then he asked me, do you know what is Dasamula? I said, no, but I want to find out. So I found out, and I taught a course in Vrindavan for 1 month in VIHE on Dasamula. And like this, it's like you just keep going, and you can't find the bottom. But there's the 10 essential truths, and I'll show them to you at the end. And from these 10, what we did at the end, after we covered them all, we had another 5 days. So I wanted to demonstrate to the devotees that think of something that you like from Scripture. So we started taking the prayers of the demigods to Lord Krishna in the womb, Canto 10, Chapter 2. And then we analyzed sentence by sentence, by sentence, by sentence, by sentence. And every sentence is one of those 10. Everything, knowledge, can be analyzed through that lens, these essential truths. And when one knows these truths, you can understand the message of Lord Chaitanya. You can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can understand Krishna. That's this cognition that's being spoken about. Now we'll go on to text 59. Pramanais tad sada charais tad abhyasaya nirantaram bodhayan atmanatmanam bhaktim apyutamam labhet. Translation: the highest devotion is attained by slow degrees. Too slow sometimes. Slow degrees by the method of 4 things: constant endeavor for self-realization, with the help of scriptural evidence, pramana, theistic conduct, sadachar, and perseverance in practice, abhyasa. So this is one that you can like wear on your chest or something. Put it on your mirror where you brush your teeth or something. Like these essential things will help you. I like referring people to this verse when they say, Maharaj, how to? How can I da-da-da-da-da-da? Just go to this verse and it tells you how to. 4 factors for achieving Uttama Bhakti. So the previous verse is indicating what this stage of pure devotion is, and this is a description. Text 59 is attaining that stage of pure devotion. In a nutshell. Bhaktisiddhanta's eloquent purport. Theistic conduct, the conduct of pious persons, or sadhus, who are pure devotees, and the conduct of those pious persons who practice devotion to Godhead. So that's from Rupa Goswami's language. That's the anukulyena krishnānushīlana. Krishna Anu Shilana. You follow the behavior, conduct of the perfected souls. Anushilana. You're down here, and they're up there. But you cultivate by hearing their instructions and following their instructions and feeling appreciation that you've kindly been instructed, and they're showing their descending mercy, and they're offering to lift you up. So with that feeling of gratitude, you follow. Cultivation of theistic conduct. Actuated by spontaneous love. Then practice. To learn about the 10 basic principles, dasamula, from the Shastras, and on receiving the name of Hari as laid down in the same, embodying the name, form, quality, and activities of the divinity. To practice the chanting of the name by serving him day and night. So that's abhyasa, practice. Practice according to the essential teachings. So that, again, it's knowledge and devotional service. It's the practice stage. Continually abhyasa, strive and practice. Just share this with you. We had a 8 years ago or something like that, a japa retreat for leaders. It was inspired by a disciple of Bhakti Tirtha Swami named Purusha Sukta, very nice devotee, and his wife Divyambar. And Purusha Sukta had heard regularly from Bhakti Tirtha Swami that he felt it was very important for those in leadership positions to associate with others in leadership positions, because so much of our time is spent with people who are leading, and not enough time, in his opinion, with others who are like themselves, with peer association. So he spoke about it regularly, the importance of leaders having peer association for strengthening their relationships and, just getting spiritual strength from one another, because we're so busy giving strength to others. So inspired by that, Purusha Sukta arranged initially some japa retreats, and then he had this bright idea of japa retreat for leaders. Unfortunately, many devotees, being humble, felt, well, I'm not a leader, so I can't attend. They missed the point. But those that did attend, it was a very nice event. The venue was in Ojai, California. Very nice place, very near where Giriraj Maharaj stays, but nice place. And it was up on a hill, up on a mountain, actually, on a Buddhist monastery, a Buddhist retreat center. And look, you up, and you're at the retreat center. You look out the window, and there's this awesome scene of a big valley and the ocean out there, and a river, and all kinds of just beautiful scenery. But very peaceful. And different members were requested by Purusha Sukta in advance to speak something. And one of the things that Rabindra Swaruprabhu, who attended this event, chose to speak about was abhyasa. And he was speaking after having attended a week-long retreat on the East Coast that was for everybody. And because it was a week-long retreat, he had lots of realization about abhyasa, just continuing to practice and continuing to practice and continuing to practice. Like Lord Brahma, for thousands and thousands of years, just continued to practice faithfully. So to continue to practice, you have to get beyond passion. Because passion, you want fruits. You want results. And so how do you keep practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing unless goodness starts to prevail? And then it's another mode that's operative. And then you're practicing in the mode of goodness. And practicing and practicing. Practicing for what? Then the goal, prayojana, becomes more clear. Practicing for what? Practicing for pure love for Krishna. Not, get some experience or some perk or recognition or whatever the things that are motive passion is famous for. Just, the higher goal. Practice and practice. So similarly, that's what's being, one of the four things that's being identified here. Theistic conduct, regular practice. See how else he describes this. Study of the scriptures in association with sadhus. Practice is no other than following the mode of service of the name practiced by the sadhus without offense, by perseverance in such practice, and devotion characterized by love, which is different than characterized by duty, which is the fruit of spiritual endeavor, makes her appearance in the essence, in the pure essence of the soul. So it's sadhana. This is, practice to come to the stage of perfection. So it's acting in devotional service. Even there may be some other desire. That's because that's the topic that's being promised here. And, whoops, I didn't show you the translation. So now this is the final verse for this morning. Text number 60. Yasya shreyas karam nasti yaya nivrittim apnuyat sadyati mam eva bhaktim tam eva sadhayet. Translation. These preliminary practices of devotion, sadhana bhakti, are conducive to the realization of loving devotion, prema bhakti. Loving devotion, than whom there is no superior well-being, who goes hand in hand with the attainment of the exclusive state of supreme bliss, and who can lead to myself. Krishna speaking to Brahma about following sadhana bhakti with these four principles consistently in place, sadhana leading to prema. It's a cultivation, just as Rupa Goswami is teaching in his Paribhasha Sutra of Nectar of Devotion, or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Here it's just being expanded by Krishna to Brahma. Again, going back to Bhaktisiddhanta's earlier language, where is that one? Text 26. Yeah, a predilection, a stage of unmixed predilection, even in devotion for the attainment of one's selfish desire. This is Rupa Goswami's teaching, which is Lord Chaitanya's teaching, and it's Lord Brahma's teaching, which is, although I may be in this lower stage, I wish to come to the higher stage, to pure devotion, unmixed devotion. So a predilection for that, a hankering for that, an aspiration for that. And how to achieve that? By following those persons who have achieved that, or those who are on the way to Krishna, who are following like that. And so associating with such persons and hearing from such persons and following such persons, cultivating that same mood through their example and their instructions and their association, that predilection element is to come to that stage. This is our life in devotion to Krishna. It matches our current reality. There's a mix. Devotion for Krishna and attachment for things of this world, some things of this world. And managing the attachment to the things of this world with the dedication ultimately to attain the Supreme. Last Sunday, I was in Chicago, and during the weekend there was a nice question that somebody asked. One of the youth, a college student, asked the question, how do I know the difference between my needs and my wants? So I gave an answer during that class, and I spent the whole Sunday Feast lecture discussing this, which is our topic here, actually. And one of the biggest oppositions or stumbling blocks is our dear friend false ego, because our dear friend false ego, which has both the element from the Mahatattva as well as the mundane egoistic principle Shambhu, investing that within each and every soul within the material world, we have this like bogus idea of who we are and what happiness is and what's going to make me more happy and what's going to diminish my unhappiness, and it's ruling our lives. So to make the distinction between what we need and what we want, from the get-go, we've got the wrong conception to work with. It's very difficult, and therefore we actually need, we must have examples of persons who are on the way to Krishna and who can guide us. And then there's, well, yeah, but I have this need. At least I think I have this need. And so managing all of that while we're trying to go on the way to Krishna too, following these nice devotees, or even perfected devotees. And our process, you read carefully in Srimad Bhagavatam in the initial verses and purports, Prabhupada is explaining our process of devotional service is one of nivritti, not pravritti. Pravritti is the conception that I do this so I can get that. I'll enjoy and prosper in this life and the heavenly realm after this life. That's common conception, pravritti. Ours is different. Progressively decrease one's material involvement. Like the fulcrum moves, and as one becomes stronger in devotion, then one's sense of needs diminishes. And the converse is true. If one becomes weaker, slackening in devotion, then all these other things that say, I need this and I need that, starts to increase. So that's a very good way to monitor how we're progressing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said like this, when asked the question, what are some measures to know whether we're progressing or not? He offers this one. How much asat trishna do you have? How much thirst for the impermanent do you have? And if it's decreasing, then you're advancing. And then it's Krishna Trishna, thirst for Krishna, hankering for Krishna. Even we may be in this mixed condition, hankering for Krishna, then you're progressing. And then Prabhupada said, in spiritual life, there's no question of stagnancy or treading water. Either you're progressing or you're regressing. You're not there's no staying the same. Like, the current of material energy is moving like a river, very swiftly. I'm sure you've noticed. It's moving very swiftly. And you go out into the stream of the material energy, Unless you're going upstream, you're going downstream. So we have to protect ourselves. It's not like, well, I think I'll just check out of existence. We don't have the qualification, besides it's not an option otherwise. So here we are, and it's moving swiftly. So we have to be striving for spiritual progress, otherwise we're regressing, just because we're in the stream of this material energy that's going down the tubes. It's like, a visual image for me is a vortex. You take a little cork or a piece of wood chip, and put it on the outside of a whirlpool, and it moves around and around. Well, what happens? It starts moving toward the center, it moves faster, and it goes down, and it's gone. That's the place that we're in. It's Kali Yuga, and it goes down very quickly. Just don't be cautious and step in the middle of it, and you're sucked into the whirlpool, and it just goes down. It doesn't go up, it goes down. So we have to be very thoughtful, careful, well-guided, in good association, and this message in this section is very important. We have great fortune, the process of devotional service. We have the holy name. We have Lord Chaitanya's teachings. We may not know what the Dasamula Tattva is, but we have the teachings. And you can study Dasamula Tattva, then you have those 10 items. You want to switch the slide so we can have that? I'll just take you through Dasamula Tattva very quickly. But still we have to be careful. We have to be careful followers of the great souls. This is just a real quick presentation on these 10 essential teachings. Here's Bhakti-Vinod expressing, the Vedic scriptures are the only authority for knowledge of the ninefold aspects of wisdom. That's Mula number 1. The Pramana is the first one. Shabda Pramana, Vedic scriptures, is the means of knowing anything you want to know. And those anything you want to know have the 9 elements. And here's the 9 elements, starting with Sambandha. Hari is the only source of wisdom. Hari is all-powerful, but there's this whole discussion about Shaktis, the potencies of Hari. He's an ocean of bliss. He's Ananda aspect of Hari. And the living entities are his parts and parcels. That's another Sambandha item. Some of the living entities are conditioned by material nature. Other living entities are liberated from material nature. And everything, including the jivas, are one and different from Sri Hari. This one and difference is something that's the last of the Śrī Brahma-sam verses. We'll hear about that this evening. So there's 7 that are established by Scripture. And Abhideya is quite simple. Unalloyed devotional service is the only means for the conditioned souls to go beyond this world of birth and death. And of course there's a lot to say about that. And then finally prayojana. Love for the Supreme Lord, prema, is the only goal. So there it is. And one can spend a month talking about what we just showed in 3 minutes. Or longer than a month. You can spend lots of time. Because it's the ocean of truth that Lord Brahma became well acquainted with simply from chanting his Gayatri mantra. So we're being equipped with the means to go from covered to perfection. And it's a gradual process. Let's just read it again. text 59, the highest devotion is attained by slow degrees, by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization, with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. Okay, so I'll end with that and see if there's any discussion or questions. Okay, go ahead.
Haripo. Okay, there are two questions online. First one is, what should be the mood when we chant Brahma Samhita, and how to maintain that mood so the chanting does not become mechanical?
Chant with devotion. But the way that what's Bhaktisiddhanta's language? One should which verse is that? Maybe it's the final one. Well, I can't find it. It's Bhaktisiddhanta's language is that one should chant these verses with great reverence and devotion, trying to enter into the spirit of these prayers, this hymn, as a regular daily function. Oral reception with great reverence and attention, trying to enter into the spirit, not just, the information part, but the spirit, the mood of the prayers regularly, as a regular daily function. That's how to. Of course, our tendency is otherwise, but we cultivate like that. The other question? Huh? 28. Thank you. Readers are requested to study and try to enter into the spirit of this hymn with great care and attention as a regular daily function. That's the end of the purport of text 28. Thank you. The other question?
Yeah, next question is, how do we get the determination for practicing spiritual principles without being interrupted?
These how-to questions, in one, and there's a series of devotees reading chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, verse and purports, and Prabhupada interrupting at points in time and commenting. So I very clearly remember this. At one point, Prabhupada raised the question, how does one increase one's determination? Which is the question. And then he answered by voluntarily accepting austerities, one's determination will increase. And so there's some standard kinds of austerities that we can do. Observing Ekadasi, observing some vrata during Kartik, increasing the number of rounds during appearance days, or things like that. There are standard Vaishnava functions of voluntarily restricting oneself for the purpose of increasing one's hearing and chanting, not just austerities for austerity's sake. And by our tapa of being regulated and being clean and being truthful and, Brahminical austerity helps us strengthen our determination in spiritual practice. Yes?
Yeah, I had a question about verse...
Softer? Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, a little further away. Good.
Oh, okay, yeah. Verse 60.
60.
60.
Okay.
The last phrase says, exclusive state of supreme bliss in the purport. Translation. And who can lead to myself? So Brahma is the author of this book. So what does myself mean?
At these verses, Krishna is speaking to Brahma.
Oh, okay.
So the myself is with a capital M. That's Krishna speaking to Brahma. Okay.
Maharaj, you said previously that Goloka is the highest.
What's the highest?
Goloka.
Goloka is the highest.
So why isn't Vaikuntha or Ayodhya also higher? Because Krishna's there too.
Okay. Good question. Put the microphone down. I'm trying to think how to explain it so the child can understand it. So, in Vaikuntha, there's opulence. Ooh, there's so much opulence. And everyone's going, awe and reverence. He's opulent. He's the supremely opulent personality. He's the master of all opulence. That's Vaikuntha. Then there's some intimacy beyond just majesty in Ayodhya, where there's Hanuman who is intimately serving Ram. He's not just because he's majestic, it's because he's Ram. He just wants to serve Ram. So there's an intimacy. And he's right there with Sita and Ram, ready for some service. And then, service. He just loves service in a very intimate and personal way. And then we'll go to Goloka, starting with Dwarka. There's great opulence also in Dwarka. But the associates in Dwarka, the Yadu dynasty members, they sit with Krishna just like we hear in Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes Arjuna said they would lie together and just have conversation. Opulence is there, but the intimacy increases. In Mathura, the intimacy increases. In Vrindavan, the intimacy, or madhurya, the sweetness, is so great, they don't even notice the opulence. They're not attracted to Krishna because, wow, he's opulent. You know who Bill Gates is? A lot of people know who Bill Gates is. Why? He's got lots of money. Money. He's got lots of talent, too, but he's got... So people are attracted to wealth. The meaning of Bhagavan. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is the speaker. It's Śrī Bhagavan-uvacha, right? What does Bhagavan mean? Van means possessor. And Bhaga means opulence. So he's the possessor of all opulences in full. That's Bhagavan. So in Ayodhya, they know Bhagavan. He's opulent. But Arjuna knows Bhagavan in a different way. He's my friend. He's driving my chariot. That doesn't happen in Vaikuntha. Narayan driving people's chariots? He's opulent. It's awe and reverence. You understand? Then there's more intimacy, and then so much intimacy in Goloka. It's just intimacy. Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill for 7 days. They're not thinking, wow, he must be God. They're thinking, his arm must be getting tired. Krishna, can you switch to your other arm so we can then massage your left arm? It must be getting tired. You follow? It's just intimacy of love. That's what makes it so special. Opulence is there. But this other is so strong. It just covers the opulence. They don't even pick up on it. Just sweetness. And therefore the loving quality is so incredible. So that's Krishna. His name means all attractive. And the most attractive part, he's playing upon his flute, charming all the residents, not just the gopis, the cows. When the cows hear Krishna's flute, their ears go up and their tails go up and they stop. And their udders are pouring milk into the ground just hearing Krishna's flute. The birds flying in the sky, they become stunned and they fall to the ground. The river Jamuna is flowing, and then hear Krishna flute, the river Jamuna stops. And the trees that are standing still, they start dancing. Because the sound of Krishna's flute is so attractive. It's not an opulence, it's just the charming sweetness of Krishna is so incredible. And so the intimacy of love is most intimate. That's what makes it highest. Who has the microphone on this side? Can you bring it up here in the front? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the wonderful lecture. Maharaj, can you please give more details how we can distinguish the needs? How we can distinguish the needs and the wants in the regular material life? If something comes on our way.
I'll tell you what. You listen to the recording of that lecture, and you'll get like an hour-long answer to your question. Is that all right? We'll do a short one. Go expand it again. Needs. We think needs. Ultimately, here's what we need: service to Krishna. We don't really need anything else. And even if we don't have anything with which to serve Krishna, we can just serve Krishna with our heart. We can be in the most restricted of circumstances, and we can serve Krishna from our heart. And if we get a little something, we can use that little something in service to Krishna. We don't need that little something. We just need service to Krishna. That's all. That's what we need. But covered by false ego, we think we need so many things. I'll list some of them. They're listed in Bhaktisiddhanta's purport that we're going to discuss this evening. But we have social needs. We need companionship. We need friends. We need people to talk to and to exchange with and have, friendship. We have to eat and sleep. We have bodily functions. We have social functions, bodily functions. We have mental and intellectual needs. And we think, they're needs. We can't survive without them. And, for most people, because of the state of consciousness, we can't survive without them. We'll go crazy, or we'll expire, or something, because they're needs. But it's only because of our conditioning that they're needs. And then there's things that are truly extraneous. We don't really need them. We don't need a second computer. I watch people on planes, and they've got 3 phones going. As soon as they land, checking this one, checking that one. I don't know what's going on. hold on a minute. Do we really need that? Well, I've got to save time. You know, time is money, and I got to make money, and I need money, and so wants may not be what our needs are. So a devotee, a thoughtful devotee, should consider, in order to be stable and sustain my devotional service, these are things that are truly required. And there's some other things, they're not truly required. And I can, minimize them or eventually do without them on the strength of devotion to Krishna, not artificially. I'm looking to increase devotion, and part of the thing that will help me is diminish those things that are on the want side. And even, do I really need? So I invite you to consider, next time you want to go shopping to buy stuff, think about 10 times, do I really need this? It's not good for the gross national product, but it's good for devotee to consider, do I really need this extra pair of shoes? Or whatever it is. And if it's something you need, then get a good one. And maintain it carefully, because it's for Krishna's service. So maintain it carefully. It's provided by Krishna for his service. If you don't need it, don't involve yourself with it. Keep some in the storage place in case I need it. That's American culture. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Up front here, yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the class. You were talking about Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojana and specific deities for each.
Yeah.
So is there a significance, and do we have to cultivate a mood when we are acquiring knowledge aspect?
Well, it's not. We don't need a mental adjustment. Let me do this to respond to your question. What's the name of the deity that Madhavendra Puri worshipped? Gopal. And when he went at Gopal's request to get camphor and sandalwood paste, when he got back to Ramuna, the Gopinath deity, Gopal appeared in his dream and said, just give to Gopinath. Because after all, he and I are the same. So that gives you a clue, right? There's different aspects of the same Krishna. One aspect of Krishna is that which helps us establish a relationship. Madan Mohan, by name. But it's the same. Okay? So we don't need to make a mental adjustment. We need to follow the teachings of our acharyas, and this aspect of Krishna, that aspect of Krishna, another aspect of Krishna will help us go further and further. Is that all right?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, thank you so much for wonderful sessions. Maharaj, I have a question regarding the in the text 58. It's saying about real knowledge is identical with the knowledge of it's related to absolute truth. And how is it connected to the chit and achit, animate and inanimate?
How is it connected to?
Animate.
Slowly and clearly. How is it connected to?
Animate and inanimate.
Animate and inanimate?
Yeah.
That's what you want to know?
Yeah.
It's just it's a relative state of embodiment. There's a soul, and one soul may be in a tree, another soul may be in a bird. So there's moving and non-moving. And then there's souls and there's matter. So matter is inanimate, and the soul is animate. But they're both energies of Krishna. So all features of life, animate or inanimate, that's the message. Okay?
Thank you.
and they have a relationship with their source, Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. You have a question? No. Okay. Nanda Sutta, you had a question? Okay. Are we all done? Fantastic. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. So, if I can have attention for a few more minutes. This is 2013 Thanksgiving, and Maharaj started to do this 2003. And in this room, except Nitya Gauranga and Divyadasti Mataji, who's not here right now, no one else who was here was there in a first retreat, not even Amritanand. So, a lot of time has gone by, and Maharaj comes year after year, except 2006 we missed it because we were in construction of this temple. So, I really appreciate Maharaj coming here and teaching us this sublime knowledge. In verse 59 it says, Tad abhyasir nivantante. The devotees at Seattle exhibit perseverance in Krishna consciousness. They exhibit sadachar, the theistic conduct. They exhibit praman, scriptural understanding and knowledge. So we, Maharaj, we continue to pray and ask for your blessing to the devotees at Seattle. Keep making this progress, and we hope to serve you every Thanksgiving. Of course, anytime you are welcome to come here, but this has become a very memorable event in an entire year for us to come and attend this wonderful retreat. So thank you very much, Maharaj, and we will say 3 times loud Hari Bol to appreciate Maharaj's mood of helping devotees here. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Thank you very much. And evening is the last class, and I knew we could not have done all this kind of acknowledgement in evening. So, however, the last session will begin promptly at 6:40 in evening. Now it's a weird time, 6:40, and it will end at 7:30 with Gaura Arati. So please be here. 6:40. So we'll start class at 6:40 here. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. And Amritanand and Madhav Chandra are cooking wonderful feast downstairs. So after Aarti, please honor it. Thank you.
సాయంత్రం ఏం చెప్తారని